This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Today's Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by The Athletic. Premium coverage for passionate Detroit sports fans. Listeners of this podcast can subscribe and save 30% off the first year of an annual subscription by going and visiting theathletic.com/DSP. All the podcast hosts read that site. There's in-depth features. They got great writers covering all things Detroit sports. Check out theathletic.com. Don't miss out. Become a subscriber and even save money. Save 30% by visiting theathletic.com/DSP.
Oh my God!
Welcome to episode 39 of the Doc and Jock Wrestling Report. On today's show, got a ton of news and notes to get you caught up on. There's a huge event going on during WrestleMania weekend, as well as some returns that are taking place, and rumors about a new contract signing for one superstar in the WWE. Of course, you know we're going to review Raw and SmackDown, as well as we've got to take a look at Extreme Rules and what happened on that show. As always, joining me, he is my tag team partner. I tell you guys every single week, he is the guy who will hit you in the head with a stop sign or a steel chair. He doesn't care. Drop an elbow from the top rope. He's going to come in with some kind of new, awesome theme song this week because he does it every single week. He is the one. He is the only. He is the Doc, John Macaroon.
The bad guy's in the building.
I love it.
You like it?
I love it.
Razor Ramon this week.
I love it.
Chico, ready to record a nice podcast with you, sir. What up? A great week of wrestling. Now,
Was it really a great week of wrestling?
Yes, let me preface it this way. 2 great shows, and then you had the middle Raw, which we'll talk about. But I felt like it was a great week of wrestling, marked by a pay-per-view that went under 4 hours long. I thought it was awesome.
So was that the highlight of the pay-per-view? Going under 4 hours?
I watched the entire thing. I liked Extreme Rules. Now, the reviews have come in a little bit challenging in that they say it's an Extreme Rules pay-per-view that didn't really seem all that extreme. But all you got to say is, hey, look, Kevin Owens took a dive off of the cage. What more do you want, you savages? The man risked his life, and he jumped off of that cage. Not only jumped, he was thrown by Braun Strowman. What more do you want, you savages? It was once I saw that, I marked out how I was like, oh! And it was like, oh! It was like, what?
That and I think
What
the
more do you
AJ
want?
Styles and the Rusev match were the highlights.
Look, that and
Everything else was kind of wah.
Exactly. And I do feel like a lot of the matches did not go as planned. I feel like, you had some situations in which you squashed some people that maybe didn't deserve to be squashed. But all in all, when you have moments like that, legendary moments on the eve of 20 years at in Pittsburgh from Mick Foley jumping off of the cage, I felt like it was a great pay-per-view overall. It was enjoyable, and to cap it at 3 hours, 40 minutes. Look, I know sometimes the fans want to hijack a show, but sometimes when they do, it's kind of funny in that if you paid attention to the main event, the fans in the countdown clock, when it got down to 10 seconds, did 10, 9, 8, and they got themselves involved in the match, and it was a little bit funny, and we'll talk about streamers.
So involved that WWE pulled the time off of the screen.
They had to, yes.
And then they just arbitrarily started counting down from 10.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna when we get through the review and we get down to the main event, which was Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins, I'm going to read a excerpt of what was said in the ring between the two guys to the referee.
All right, they start off the pay-per-view shockingly. B-Team wins the title.
Yeah.
Good swerve. I felt like that's what you needed. The B-Team deserved it. They're workers, and sometimes you got to throw some of these wrestlers a bone, and the B-Team winning was awesome. And I do think it sets up a continuation of that feud. I like the fact that they proved everybody wrong.
Absolutely. When this happened, I was like, what? Wait, what's going on? Like, WWE coming out of left field. I like this. I enjoy the B-Team. I think they're fun. They're a comic bit. What I see this doing in the future, I think they'll hold their titles. I don't think the Leaders of Worlds are going to get their titles back. I could see those two separating and going their own way. What I see happening is Authors of Pain coming in and them getting a title run here. Balor rolls up Corbin for a win. This is a match that Finn really needed to win because he spent the last month losing.
Good chemistry. These guys have feuded back in NXT, and it carried over into a good pay-per-view match. Solid. I'd give it 3 stars out of 4. Yep, definitely Balor needed to win it, and he performed. But again, with the roll-up,
you hate the roll-up.
Exactly.
Carmella pins Asuka in what I could only describe as a train wreck of a match.
This one upset a lot of people and fully justified. You have a women's revolution. You got 2 quality wrestlers, Carmella, Asuka. Yet, what is everybody talking about?
Really quality.
You need to expose her. But right now, what's going on is you've highlighted James Ellsworth.
Yes.
And this is the problem in that, again, the feature, the thing that everybody's talking about is James Ellsworth flying out of the cage, being hung upside down, getting destroyed by Asuka again. And that's not what's needed. Unfortunately, yes, you have to have the payoff of the heel getting destroyed. But at the same time, when you sacrifice a match, I feel like Carmella Asuka was probably one of the worst female pay-per-view matches in 2018. It wasn't that good.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And at some point, so I like Carmella, right? I find her A, to be very attractive. I find her B, to be very charismatic. I find her C, to be able to cut a great promo and to be super energetic. Her in-ring work needs work. At some point, you have to break her and James Ellsworth up because I feel like he overshadows everything she does. So then when you put her in a match against a good opponent like Asuka, he kind of overshadows the entire match. And like you said, we're going through this women's revolution. This is what they're feeding us. This is what they're talking about. And yet we're talking about James Ellsworth and we're not necessarily talking about what we should be talking about.
Do you see a situation in which Carmella needs to let go of James Ellsworth? Does he need to be with her or no? Does it need to be that foil for her?
No, I don't think so. I thought she was doing a good enough job by herself.
Yeah.
I like James Ellsworth. I think he adds a little bit to her character, but I don't necessarily think she needs him. What I think she needs to do is she needs to get better in the ring. Yeah. I really think that's what it is. I don't think she can carry her own match.
Okay.
And that's a problem.
Especially when you're the champion.
Exactly.
And when you got the likes of Charlotte Flair in your midst.
Exactly. So next we have Nakamura winning in 6 seconds over Jeff Hardy.
Oh!
Low blows him, and then it's Kinshasa, and then it's 1, 2, 3.
I liked it.
You liked the short match?
I liked the short match. It kind of provided a surprise in that you have Nakamura playing the heel role perfectly, and then you have the surprise. Randy Orton makes an appearance, and you were surprised because you thought, okay, naturally, Randy Orton's going to want to tackle Nakamura and try and get into the title picture. But no, he comes over and destroys Hardy with a gut punch. Ugh.
It was
kick.
It was really weird. You were left kind of scratching your head. It was like, is this a Randy Orton heel turn? What's going on? I don't understand. Is he sending a message to Nakamura? Really and truly, I felt like he was sending a message to Nakamura. Like, I'm going to take Jeff Hardy out and I'm going to beat him up real quick, and this is what I'm coming for you, basically. When we get to SmackDown, we'll revisit this because this was not what I think any of us thought it was. So Kevin Owens surprisingly beats Braun Strowman, but you've already talked about it. He had to pay for it when he got thrown off the top of the ring, the top of the cage.
The perfect way to have Owens win this. You don't take any heat off of Strowman. He looks like a monster. They both had good chemistry. It was a good match for a cage match. Kevin Owens right now, he's kind of the guy that's taken the severity. He's kind of the guy that's taken the ownership of the guy that takes the nastiest bumps. I do think, though, honestly, he doesn't have to do this anymore. No. He doesn't have to keep jumping off of cages. Yeah, he's been doing it now every 3 or 4 months, taking these huge, epic bumps. Look, he's over. He's a badass. I think when he comes back from whatever the injuries, the nature of what happened, he was up on the top of the cage, and he's battling with Braun Strowman. Braun catches him because the way they played it up was Braun was like handcuffed to a rope, and Kevin Owens is at the top. Braun breaks free, climbs up to the top rope, and they start to wrestle, and all of a sudden, Braun Strowman grabs a hold of Kevin Owens and then just shoves him right down to the bottom, and it was an epic bump. Everyone flipped out.
There's a great visual of Braun standing really high, perched atop the cage, and Kevin Owens just destroyed through the announcer's desk.
And I do think that Kevin Owens is a guy that is willing to sacrifice his body, but dude, we'd like to see you around, so just take it easy, man. You don't got to fly anymore.
You don't got to take these crazy bumps, bro.
Right.
In a surprise, a stunner, if you will, the Bludgeon Brothers beat Team Hell No. Earlier in the show, the Bludgeon Brothers attacked Team Hell No. Storyline broke or beat up Kane's ankle. So this was, you had a less than 100% Team Hell No, and the Bludgeon Brothers took advantage.
A situation in which the result is part of a bigger picture.
Yes.
And that's how you now introduce what's going to happen going forward with Daniel Bryan and The Miz, is you set up the funeral segment on Tuesday as a result of Team Hell No losing. Bludgeon Brothers get over by beating Team Hell No, and I think that's masterful. Masterful way of getting Bludgeon Brothers over.
Right. I think it was the right move not taking the belt off them. Let them have their run. Team Hell No doesn't need it. Kane's going to go away and be mayor of wherever, and Daniel Bryan's here, so let's run this way. Lashley hits a spear and steals a win over Roman Reigns.
Like we said, definitely needed to happen. A good match. I feel like it was well-timed, good chemistry. I think that for what people expected it to be, people thought it would be a crap-tastic match. Here's the problem, though. In WWE, the crowd affects what a match looks like. And these guys are busting their ass. They're working hard, trying to get over in a match, and the crowd is flat as can be, dead as a doorknob. Now, once Bobby Lashley started to get into his finish, and once he started gaining momentum, the crowd got behind him. And I really do think the crowd was expecting that Roman Reigns was just going to flat out win the match. So when Bobby Lashley won, you finally got the intended pop, but it took him forever, and it kind of hurt the match having the crowd in Pittsburgh just be terrible, absolutely horrible. But Bobby Lashley's fine. I think that as a potential number one contender, I'm happy with him going forward. Can he be a guy that you give the belt to? That's very, very questionable. And again,
I could see him being a transitional champion.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
I could see him be the guy
a month or two.
Takes the belt off of Brock, and we'll talk about this more in the Raw review. I could see him being a guy who takes the belt off of Brock, and he's the setup for whoever else.
And here's the problem: is that this kind of feud, Roman versus Lashley, probably should have been a one and done. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that as the further shows after Extreme Rules took place, but it's not.
Yeah. So Alexa Bliss beats Nia Jax.
Yay!
The real show stealer here in this match was Ronda Rousey. She jumps the barricade, and she just goes to work on Mickie James and Alexa Bliss.
Are you surprised at how over right now Ronda is? I mean, I'm surprised. I thought she'd be over, but she's superstar over.
Yeah, I am, especially... So I think a lot of WWE fans, maybe not a lot. I mean, let me rephrase this. I think a portion of WWE fans, and it happens to be a large portion, are smart. They know what's going on. They're up on everything. They read the dirt sheets. They know stuff, right? That's why you'll have moments in matches where they just lose their stuff, right? So you had in the B team versus the World of the Leaders, there was that point where Bray Wyatt was about to face off against Bo Dallas, and the fans just kind of went bonkers because there's this anticipation because they're brothers, and they're going to finally throw blows, and they're going to come to it because this has never happened in a WWE ring before. And everybody it was that anticipation. You could almost taste it and feel it. So I think a large portion of WWE fans are smart, and they understand things. I think Ronda Rousey is very limited in what she can do right now. I think she can get better, and I think she will get better. But I think right now she's limited. And yes, I am surprised that she is as over as she is, especially being as limited as she is, because she's not very good on the microphone. We've discussed this. Her in-ring work, when it comes to the actual fighting aspect of it, she's not bad. She's actually pretty decent for being as much of a novice as she is. Her selling, I think, needs a little bit of work, and I think some of her facial expressions need work. You know, we talked about her facial expressions being part of her move list. She's got angry face down, and she's got surprise face, and then that's about all she's got. So, you know, I think her selling needs a little bit of work. But yes, I am surprised because she's not I don't think she's very good at being a wrestler yet. I think she's kind of starting to come into her own a little bit. I don't want to be too hard on her because she's brand new to this, and WWE has just slapped her into the spotlight without really giving her, I think, the training that is required and necessary because they want to make the quick buck. But yes, I am surprised.
And then the match of the night, AJ Styles, Rusev put on an awesome clinic.
Awesome show.
And it was awesome to see. Rusev held his own. Like I said, it went down how we thought it would, in that he was highlighted as a beast. He looked great in the ring, and AJ Styles made another man.
I think this was the match of the night. This, I think, was
by far
the best match of the night, and I think this match tried to carry the show. In the end, for our main event, we had what is being deemed a 30-minute Iron Man match. I don't know about you, but I remember Iron Man matches being at least 60 minutes, if not more. But we're going to do a 30-minute one here. This was quite a chaotic match. between Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins. In the end, Ziggler beats Rollins 5-4. If you go back, was it a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler put on an absolute clinic on Monday night when they paired off against each other and they wrestled for almost 30 minutes with one fall. You mean to tell me in the span of 30 minutes, 10 seconds,
This many falls?
they had 9 falls?
I took a restroom break, and it was literally like maybe 6 minutes, and so you know which excrement I was.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
What was going on there?
Yeah, so I came back. It was like 1-0, and all of a sudden it was like 5-4. I'm like, what the hell did I miss in 6 minutes?
Right.
And so I rewinded, and I'm like, oh, this is not the way they should have did. They should have
No.
had a classic wrestling match, 2-1, 3-2.
Yep.
That many falls cheapened it, and like you said, the crowd. Because by then they were tired, and so they wanted to become involved, and they wanted to see something different, so they started messing around with the clock.
Yeah, and like you said, they were messing with the clock, and at one point, WWE pulls the clock off of the screen, and there's a spot in the match where Ziggler has Rollins in a sleeper hold. He just kind of
Like a rest pose,
right?
catch your breath pose.
They're rolling around on the mat, and Ziggler's got his arm basically up and underneath Rollins' neck and chin, and he's kind of tugging back on it, and you can see Ziggler and you can hear him say it's worse than when the clock was up. And Rollins responds by saying, that's why they should have left it up.
Yeah.
Like, we just got to do what we got to do. Like, these are just pros being pros, and WWE's in the back screwing stuff up.
Yep.
Like, this was not I think the type of match we all expected.
Right.
And even when we discussed it, I think I said it would be like 3-2, and somebody would win like last second.
Yeah.
I think Ziggler would get the last pinfall.
And I would have been okay with it being a draw. I feel like, you know what,
Yeah.
that's good. You have Kurt Angle come out, restart the match, and then you do it a cheap way with Drew McIntyre. I get why for storyline purposes, but I feel like, you know what, a draw right there would have been okay.
Is Seth Rollins now on to bigger and better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I agree with you 100%. Now we look at calling the card. In calling the card, Jock gets 7 matches correct, while Doc gets 5 of 10.
Not enough.
Jock gets the point, so I'll extend my lead to 6 to 4.5. Now, nobody gets the bonus point because the runtime was 3 hours, 40 minutes.
Perfect timing. I think that's where they got to be. 3.5. 3.5 to 3:45. Lock it in. That's what it's supposed to be. One maybe squash match, maybe one less match, and you can do this. 3 hours, and then you have 20 minutes for the recap, which was really good, actually. The recap after with Bobby Lashley talking about his victory and things like that. I like it. That's the way to go. Keep it up. Yes.
It was good. All right, so now we transition to Raw.
What's going to happen on Monday Night Raw after Extreme Rules?
So everybody thought Brock Lesnar was going to show up because Kurt Angle made the decree. Brock has to show up. We've got to sit there and we've got to establish when his next match will be. So did Brock show up? No. But Paul Heyman did, right? All right, so Paul Heyman showed up, and it appears, by me looking through my crystal ball, Brock will be dropping the Universal Championship at SummerSlam as Paul Heyman and Kurt Angle made it official on Monday Night Raw.
Now, again, I understand the purpose of the segment. Way too long. You could have cut out 6 minutes easily with this segment. I understand you have the promo to set up 2 triple threat matches. It was cool to see, but they've done this before where the next contender has to be 6 guys who want the title. I get it, but
What does it say about your product if you've got 6 guys vying for the belt?
And what does it say that you did the same thing they did on SmackDown, where every time there's a new title holder, 8 people want it? Of course they do, but just come out and say, "Look, the next guy's Bobby Lashley, and let's get it on. Let's go." I think they took away from Bobby Lashley when he comes out there is ready, and then you parade all these wrestlers out there. Look, it kind of had a feel, at least this promo, that it wasn't as scripted. Like he was just being natural and like just saying, "I'm next," and then you have all these other guys, and it ruined it. I didn't like it.
Do you remember back in the day when you had the WWE Championship and you had the Intercontinental belt, and the Intercontinental belt was kind of the waiting belt? This is the one that you're going to be the next guy. Here's your belt.
Yeah.
You're basically number 2 in the company. You're the next guy. As soon as you drop your belt, you're the number 1 contender. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I remember that too, and I feel like it works so well having a number 1 and a number 2 belt. At this point on Raw, we have no number 1 belt. All we have is the Intercontinental strap, which at this point, by default, is the number 1 belt. You don't have to sit there and even contend for the Intercontinental Championship. You just get to jump in line.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. Like at this point, if we did everything the way I'd like it to be done, Seth Rollins would be your new number one contender.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And for me, it would have been Bobby Lashley. You had him win. I feel like Roman Reigns, that's how you honor Roman Reigns, by saying, okay, you beat Roman Reigns. That means something.
Yeah.
Now you beat Roman Reigns and you get a chance to fight again to fight who? Roman Reigns. That's stupid.
It was so dumb. So more Control-C, Control-V booking from WWE, setting up these 6-man tags that included Roman Reigns, who beat Finn Balor and Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley, who beat Elias and Seth Rollins.
I didn't want to see any of those results.
Me neither. So if you had to pick one to take on Brock Lesnar, do you want Bobby Lashley beating Roman Reigns, or do you want Roman Reigns beating Bobby Lashley to go on?
No, it has to be Bobby Lashley.
Has to be Bobby Lashley. Has to be. Nobody wants to see Roman Reigns.
Exactly.
I like Roman Reigns. I don't want to see Roman Reigns.
Bobby Lashley is a prototypical heavyweight champion, universal champion. He can do some things, and then you could have some matchups with maybe, again, revisiting Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre. I think Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins. I think Bobby, because he's not as big as Brock Lesnar, and I think because he's more relatable as a wrestler, because we've seen him, we know his history, that he's available, that for the next year or so you can make him the champion for 6 months and have him get a couple wins and then pass it on to Finn or Seth or whoever's next.
You don't even need him to have it for 6 months. He could hold it for a month, 2, 3, exactly. It doesn't matter. He doesn't have to have a long title run. Let him be your transitional champ. I'm cool with it.
I liked seeing the way they used Bobby Roode this week. I thought it was
this?
Yes, I liked the fact that he got into a match, but here's the problem. Not believable. No hype. The intensity of the fans saying glorious, not the same. And I felt like this is what happens when you got a guy who is a superstar and can be utilized better, when the fans aren't behind him and you've done a poor job of introducing him to fans by making him a middle card guy. This should have been cool for Bobby Roode if you made the stipulation that Dolph Ziggler is not defending the title. Have Bobby Roode win. What better way to get rub off of Dolph Ziggler, the Intercontinental Champion, than to say maybe? But I did like the fact that after the match, you had Mojo Rawley going, "That's glorious," and kind of poking the bear a little bit. I like that. But in the end, the match was okay, but I just feel like Bobby Roode and the way creative has utilized him has been vastly, vastly wasteful.
I wish we had a camera on me right now so everybody could see me nodding my head with everything you just said.
Yeah, it's vastly wasteful.
I think what we're getting to now is WWE sees his face turn has run out. It's boring. Nobody's invested in it. I don't think Bobby Roode's invested in it at this point.
Yeah, right?
I think we've got a heel turn coming.
It's like, okay, here's the perfect example. Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode are having some exchanges, and there's talk about what's it like for Bobby Roode not to be on the card. And what does he say? It sucks. That's what you say?
Yeah.
It should have been something where you had an eloquent statement along the lines of, it'll never happen again, I am the guy. And he should have beat his ass right then and there for even questioning him.
Yep.
Right there, you have a backstage segment. You don't even need to have a match. Not everything has to be established in the ring. You could have just said, look, I'm here, get ready, Bobby's coming.
Yeah.
Walk away.
And that's all you had to do.
What's going on here?
That's it.
It's not that hard.
I mean, honestly, is booking this difficult? Or are we just this smart? I don't know.
I think that's what happens when you have 50 writers instead of 2 smart ones. When you have bloated writers and maybe the boss is not there, then the kids play. You never know.
That's right. So are we getting a different kind of Bayley-Sasha relationship?
What did you think when I texted you? Because I totally went left with my reply.
No, when I watched this, I was like,
is it love like love?
Are they lesbians?
Yeah,
I
thought that too.
That's where I thought we were going with this. I was like, wait, hold on.
Is it love like I love you as a friend, or love you as I want to be with you?
I was like, I love you like I want to scissor with you. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, I was so confused by all of this.
Okay, good, because I was just
you weren't the only one.
I was just perverted, and that's why I went there right away.
No, dude, like when I watched this, I was like, wait, what the? What?
I love you. I love you. I'm like, okay, I'm down with that.
So let's talk about this for a quick second, all right?
Are we going to have a lesbian angle on Raw?
That's what I'm thinking, because this has been going on for over 4 months now, right?
I love you.
This back and forth between Bayley and Sasha, and we've been waiting for the payoff. We've been waiting for the blow up, and we finally get Bayley working Sasha Banks over, like throwing her into the steel steps and yelling at her and pointing at her. Then they got to go to this couples therapy thing. Which was stupid. I think we all agreed this was like the worst bit. That we haven't seen a bit this bad than Bayley, This Is Your Life, when Alexa Bliss came out there and did that whole thing. And that was a monstrosity. It was so bad. WWE doesn't even talk about it or put it up on their website or even reference it. That's how bad that was. So we had 2 weeks of let's go to counseling and let's get some things worked out and try to make it fun and funny. And it's not. And it was bad and it fell flat. And now we come back this week, and we've got Sasha Banks professing her love to Bayley and talking about how much she loves her. And when I get done watching this, I'm like, she said that like she like is in love with her, not like she loves her. Like, I love you, right? I love you. We're cousins. You're my man. $5,000. I love you. All right, I got you all day. I'm not in love with you though.
Yeah, right.
And when I got done watching this, I was like, I think Sasha's in love with Bayley. I'm not sure. I'm so confused by all of this. I've got no idea what they're doing with this storyline. And at some point, we needed the payoff. We needed the payoff like 2-3 months ago, 4 months ago, maybe. It's just been going on for way too long. And I think now they've got themselves in such a spot that they can't figure out how to get out of this and to kind of move on to the next thing. There was a point there where they should have just walked away from the storyline because they screwed it up so bad and they let it linger for so long that now them trying to revisit it, I think they're just making it worse.
Yeah, let's revisit it. Let's hear it, and let's see if we can get anything else from it.
I love that you're a good person. I love that you love everybody. I love that you want to be friends with everybody. I love that little girls look up to you. I love that you're always there for me when I don't even ask you to be. And for some reason, you always can tell when something's wrong.
It's getting emotional.
So I just don't understand why you don't get it. I love you.
Yeah! Let's get downtown!
I always have, and I always will. There, I said it.
So
See, that's where it is. It's there, I said it. Like, oh.
It sounds like a lover's quarrel, right? It sounds like a lover's quarrel.
Corey's look afterwards was probably indicative of where everyone was at. Like, what the hell just happened?
Right. Like,
I love you.
I have no idea what this is, man. Like,
Yeah.
I've got no clue. I'm so confused by this entire storyline, and I hate it. And I absolutely hate it. Did you ever see the NXT match between Bayley and Sasha Banks? You ever see it?
No, was it good?
Oh, it's epic. It is, honestly, it will go down in history as one of the top WWE matches of all time. It is a great, great match. You need to go on YouTube. You need to find it. I think it's roughly a 35-minute, maybe a 45, 50-minute match. It's exceptional. Watch it and just let me know your reaction when you're done watching it. It's great.
Gotcha.
This is what we were hoping for.
Not getting it.
Not getting it at all.
Gotcha.
All right. And the thing about it was Bayley sat there and she had to struggle and she had to fight to become NXT champion.
Yeah.
All right. And it took her, I think, like 3 or 4, maybe 5 years to get to this point. And she finally gets crowned during this match. So it was really emotional, not just for her, but for her family who was in the arena that night. So it was an awesome story. Sasha loses her belt to Bayley. They're up there crying. Charlotte and Becky come down. They throw up the 4 fingers because they're the 4 horsewomen. It was awesome. It was incredible. Like, I got chills just talking about it. That's how good it is. You need to go watch this. Whoever you are, go watch this damn match. It's awesome. All right. I was hoping we could rekindle some of that.
Nope.
And
I love you. That's where we're at.
It's not.
Back to counseling.
It's bad, dude.
What did you mean? How did you feel, Bayley, when Sasha told you that she loved you?
Yeah, I felt tingling in my pants.
Oh, right. He'd be like, I think we can go down this road.
Literally go down this road.
Go down this road.
Oh, man.
Overall, Raw wasn't it for me. No, it wasn't it.
It wasn't good.
It was not the bee's knees. It wasn't that good. It fell flat. It was okay. I mean, the good thing is now I have Hulu, so I can kind of get the condensed version the day later, and especially on the DVR, I can just fly through everything. So that's the way it was. It was definitely one you just definitely need to just DVR your way through it.
It wasn't
fast
good.
forward.
It was so
4
bad.
times speed, foo.
Yeah, it wasn't good. All right, so let's transition over to
SmackDown.
SmackDown, which was much, much better.
Wow.
All right, so I'm going to skip the opening promos because I don't care about those,
Yep.
and I really feel like they didn't add anything to much of what went on with
Exactly.
SmackDown. But AJ Styles, Andrade Cien Almas match. This was our first match.
Yep.
This was awesome.
It was nice to see because a new competitor has emerged, and they didn't give everything. They didn't give it all in this match, so there's room to grow. And it's nice to see.
This
is what
was
you're
your
supposed to do.
basic AJ Styles match where he
supposed to have,
takes
yep.
a ton of punishment
Yep.
and ends up getting the win.
Gets the win.
Andrade looks like a legit contender for his belt, though.
Exactly. And I think that's something that you plant the seed a little bit of like, okay, Cien Almas can be a guy that can hang with AJ Styles. He's believable. And again, when you have AJ Styles, you can put him with anybody and you can start. It's like, okay, who do we want to be the next guy? Put him in with AJ Styles. That's what Raw needs is a guy. It's probably only Seth Rollins right now, but Dolph can do it. But right now, Dolph is a little bit overshadowed by Drew McIntyre, so that's his weakness right now.
He is, but he's also trying to shake off years of bad booking.
Exactly.
So, and the thing about this too is AJ Styles gives the rub to another guy.
It's great.
You just talked about how he helped us, like he cemented Rusev. Rusev was there. He cemented Rusev the night before, 2 nights ago.
Exactly.
Now Andrade comes in and they have a match, and Andrade gets the rub.
Yep.
So now you're looking at Andrade a little bit, and you're like, damn. All right, cool. I can see this. I can see this. And on top of it, he's got some nice eye candy with him.
Yep.
Because Selena Vega's, dude, I don't know about you, but like, she's smoking hot. This now sets up the question. Who is AJ Styles going to meet at SummerSlam? This is what the kind of the build was off of this match. Is he going to face Andrade Cien Almas, or is there somebody else that you'd like him to face?
I'm down with more of Rusev versus AJ Styles. I think that's a match that can be continued to be evolved, and you can get more out of it. But I think anybody with AJ Styles could be marquee. But at the same time, for a big show, I'm down with maybe a crossover. Seth Rollins.
Ooh.
I'm down for some crossover action, maybe somebody that wants to step up and take a chance. I'm down even for something crazy like a Braun Strowman. Something even crazy. You know what? But for me, the dream scenario would be if it was Brock Lesnar and AJ Styles at SummerSlam. But really, anybody you put in with AJ Styles is going to be amazing. But I think it'll end up being Rusev.
Do you?
I think so.
I think it's going to be Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
I think for SummerSlam, I see Samoa Joe all day long.
That's big time too, yeah.
And I could see them having a really, really good match.
Now, I think something that you and I have both noticed watching with the progression of Lana is that, is she Russian or is she American? Like, is she, going to be the Southern gal, or is she going to be the Russian dancer? It's kind of weird what they're doing. Am I missing something?
No, man. Especially in this backstage segment, she kept bouncing back and forth between her Russian accent and her English. And I was just kind of left scratching my head because, like, she's done it before in the ring while she's doing her promos, where she'll kind of speak a little bit Russian and then she'll speak straight up English.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we're doing with this character. I'm kind of confused.
Exactly.
So I'm not sure. Becky Lynch gets another big win.
Nice win.
And she calls out Carmella. Next week, she'll be taking on Carmella in a chance to get a ticket to SummerSlam to face Carmella for the Women's SmackDown Championship.
Victory! I do see Becky taking her on. That's a good match.
I do too.
It's good to do that.
Do you like the push that Becky's getting here?
She deserves it. I think she's over. Great wrestler. Again, sometimes you are limited with time, but it was a good match. It's just, you kind of want to you wish the women would get a little bit more time, especially on SmackDown.
I think it goes Charlotte, and then I think it's Becky. And I think those are your number one and your number two. I think your brands need to have one of them women on each of them, because I think they need to be your superstars for your ladies. I love Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is my favorite woman wrestler in WWE right now. I think she's great. I think she can do it all. I think she cuts great promos. I think she's really, really funny. And I think she's good looking, which is always a plus. And I feel bad because whenever we talk about the women, we always throw that caveat in there. But she draws your attention. You're drawn to her. So I think that's what helps with her character.
Now, The Miz holds a funeral for Team Hell No, and I thought it was great. Awesome all the way around. I feel like what better way to introduce and continue and further storyline of the hatred between The Miz and Daniel Bryan, where The Miz rubs the salt in the wounds of Team Hell No, burying them. That was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. And now it does something really interesting, because The Miz comes in and attacks, or Daniel Bryan comes in and attacks The Miz from behind, throwing The Miz out of the ring during this funeral that he was holding for him. This seems like we're building towards SummerSlam. Do you want this match at SummerSlam, or would you prefer a more long-term, more antagonistic build towards WrestleMania? Because I think this would be a great WrestleMania match.
For sure, and you're justified in verbalizing that. But unfortunately, WrestleMania is in April. That's way too long. That's almost like a year and a half to 2 years of feuding. It's time to pay it off. They got to have their match. It's just, unfortunately, it's just one of those things where timing would indicate SummerSlam is up there. The next big pay-per-view is Survivor Series. Do you really want to wait 3 months? It naturally progressed, I think, in the natural evolution of the storytelling that The Miz should take on Daniel Bryan. It is WrestleMania worthy, so we can give it that due. No doubt about it. You could even say it could headline WrestleMania. It could be that good with the feuds and the way that they could develop heat over the next few months, but you got to pay it off. This is an ADD society. You got to pay me off now.
What about this? So we have the match at SummerSlam, all right?
You got to call, if you want to extend it, fine. Culminate it at Survivor Series.
So you want it done at
done.
okay.
Done.
Because I was thinking we have the match at SummerSlam, right? And then From there, you can have a little bit back and forth. At some point, they go their separate ways, and yet they come back. And you're building to WrestleMania for the blow off. At some point, Miz gets a win, Daniel Bryan gets a win. Your third match, WrestleMania.
Yeah, you could do that, but I would say that after this match, you have, no matter what, I do think Daniel Bryan has to get over. Then you develop the next feud for Bryan to be Almas, and they're wrestling to be the number one contender. AJ Styles can then go through maybe one or two feuds with Samoa Joe and other top contenders along the way, whether it be, Hardy or somebody else, just intermediate feuds before you get to Daniel Bryan.
Okay. Does at some point Daniel Bryan become WWE champion?
Is he the guy to take it off? Probably. He's the biggest name. He probably would be worthy, and it'd be a great match. And I think that that's the natural progression. I think that if AJ Styles were to lose the belt on SmackDown, it'd have to be to Daniel Bryan.
All right, so we get our main event for SmackDown, and it's Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy. Now, this was a much better match because it was actually a match.
A match, yes.
Unlike what we got on Extreme Rules.
Yes.
Nakamura ends up winning.
Yes.
All right. Do you see Nakamura getting an extended run as the U.S. champ?
Yes, I think it's perfect. He can do what heels do, and I do think that there's opportunities for Nakamura to continue to evolve as a heel. And I like the opportunity of seeing Randy Orton being another top heel in the company. And Randy Orton, Jeff Hardy can have a mid-card feud right now, as well as Randy Orton, too, could be a guy that could get his way up into the mix later on in 2018.
Yeah, so you mentioned Randy Orton. Randy Orton ends up coming out, and just as Jeff Hardy's ready to get the pin on Nakamura, pulls him out and then just beats the living crap out of him.
Wow.
And so that's why Nakamura gets to retain his belt, and there's a DQ.
Jeff Hardy wins via disqualification.
Right. So ends up beating the living, like I said, the tar out of him, like bounces his head off the steps. He starts screaming at him, "Do you know why I'm doing this? Do you know why I'm doing this?
Do you know why?"
At one point, so and this is funny. If you go back and you watch this match, I just want you to watch the match. Watch Jeff Hardy's entrance. When he gets in the ring, he pulls out his earring, and he's got those gauges in. He pulls out his earring before the match. Just watch that, because I thought that was funny. I remember watching it, and I was like, wow, that's weird. He's playing with his ear. Anyways, during the match, Randy Orton, or at the end of the match, Randy Orton takes his finger, sticks it into that ear hole, and starts tugging on the ear where the gauge normally would be. I remember watching this, biting my hand. Now, I'm watching this, and I see what Randy Orton does. He does it to where he's not going to rip the earlobe, but still, you're feeling for Jeff Hardy, because you're like, God, man, you know that hurts. You know it hurts. And if for some reason Randy slips or something happens, he held the ear in such a way that he protected Jeff Hardy's ear. But man, you know that had to be uncomfortable. On top of it, just watching somebody take their finger and stick it into your ear hole, uncomfortable. Very, very uncomfortable. So I love the way SmackDown ended. I love Randy Orton finally being a heel. We know now, it's clear and cut. He's got some type of crazy beef with Jeff Hardy. Not sure what it is. This is going to be the build. We got to find out what the rub is, what's going on. What made Randy Orton so mad at Jeff Hardy that he just stuck his finger in his ear hole and tried to rip his ear off?
SmackDown, by far the better show. I mean, there's no competition. I just watched it start to finish and said, wow, much better show, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
No argument.
Absolutely. So, again, which show is better? We both agree SmackDown.
The verdict is SmackDown takes a 2-week lead, 23-21.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you want some news and notes?
Hit me with the week's news and notes presented by the Jock.
All right. So Aaron Vrabel of Wrestling Inc. reported that Vince McMahon was not at his normal position at Gorilla.
Not at Gorilla.
Sunday's pay-per-view. Now, there was no reason given. However, it appears that Vince has been skipping more and more events lately, leaving guys like Triple H in charge. He kind of feels like the machine is so well-oiled, it can just kind of run itself.
Another name in Gorilla, Brian Kidman, a name from the past.
Yes.
A guy that I definitely respect, and especially as a guy who was formerly involved with Tori Wilson.
Yes.
Hey, now.
All right, on Sunday, before the pay-per-view, news broke that Hulk Hogan was reinstated and back in WWE, as well as the WWE Hall of Fame. Remember, he was removed after making some racist comments in a video where he was banging his friend Bubba the Love Sponge's wife in a totally weird, awkward situation. I'm not really sure how I feel about this. I loved Hulk Hogan as the wrestler. I do not agree with what he said and the way he said it and what was going on. Look, people need second chances, but I don't.
And he served 3 years away from the company.
I don't know if this is okay. I don't know. I have very mixed feelings about all of this.
For me, I'm okay with it. You serve your punishment, 3 years away. He is a legend. He is somebody that can learn from his mistakes. And I am able to also kind of say that if somebody says something insensitive, racial in nature, does that make them racist? And so as long as he atones for it, somebody who actually had prejudice in the past can be rehabilitated to evolve into a person that cares and can teach young people. So you have to make good out of bad situations. So if you believe that he's racist and you can't be around him, unfortunately WWE has brought him back, and he'll probably have some involvement in SummerSlam, host or something. And at the very least, a guy like that with all that experience in entertainment and all that experience around the world with WWE, he's going to have a spot no matter what. And as long as he, like I said, short leash, you mess up, you're out.
All right, sticking with what took place on Sunday. On Sunday, The Miz competed in the Celebrity All-Star softball game. In that game, he won the MVP. So just a little news and notes there. He mentioned that on SmackDown if you happen to miss it. It's rumored, I have no confirmation yet, so rumor, Daniel Bryan has signed a new contract with WWE. That's why we're talking about going out to WrestleMania with Daniel Bryan and The Miz.
Good for him.
Now, it's speculated that it'll be for at least 2 years.
That's good.
So you got a little bit of time there. He can get all those matches in WWE done that he wants to get done before he maybe moves on to New Japan or ROH or goes wherever. Speaking of returns, Charlotte is targeting July 31st for her return.
Okay.
Remember, she had the breast implant that ruptured. She had to get that taken care of. More returns. Mike and Maria Kanellis. You remember them?
Oh,
a little bit.
Love couple.
Right. They're supposed to be coming back to WWE. Maria just had a baby. They're down in Florida. They're training at the Performance Center. So Mike is now sober. Maria had the baby. They're getting back to getting in the ring, getting that rust off. So expect to see them coming up shortly. Paul Heyman is reportedly writing for WWE. 2 weeks ago, he was included on the byline for multiple segments.
Good.
So this could be a really good thing for WWE. Paul Heyman's one of the best writers they have.
Yeah.
Some of the best things that you've ever liked in WWE has Paul Heyman's fingerprints all over it.
Can only be a good thing.
It can only be a good thing. Can only be a good thing. Lars Sullivan. Remember a couple weeks ago after the TakeOver show, I reported that Lars Sullivan for NXT had a reported broken jaw.
Yeah.
It might all be storyline.
Oh, okay.
So Dave Meltzer's coming out saying it's all storyline, and he's saying that it's because Lars Sullivan, that was his first loss he suffered. All right, and it was against Aleister Black. You want to keep Aleister Black strong. You want to keep Lars Sullivan looking like this undefeatable monster. So you work this into the storyline. He's going to be held off TV for a little bit as they sell the broken jaw. So I thought that was pretty interesting. WrestleMania weekend, ROH and New Japan will be putting on a combined show. Can you guess where?
New Orleans.
Nope, MSG.
Oh,
so
it's working.
Yeah. So WWE is going to be hosting WrestleMania at the Barclays Center. All right, so NXT will be having a show on that Saturday to challenge them and to go head-to-head with them. New Japan and ROH are putting on a combined show at MSG.
Wow.
So a ton going. You want to go to New York for WrestleMania weekend?
Maybe.
It's going to be massive, dude. Massive. And WWE can't stop it, and they're not even trying.
Wow.
And a huge match has been booked for Chris Jericho's cruise. It's going to be the Alpha Club, which consists of Chris Jericho and the Young Bucks, versus the Bullet Club, which will consist of Kenny Omega, Marty Scurll, and Cody.
Very nice.
So that's probably going to be the main event of that entire cruise. And I could see that working out. I could see it being awesome.
Very good podcaster. Always enjoy breaking down wrestling. So what we've learned is that a lot of guys have opportunities to step up going forward in this next phase going into SummerSlam. I look forward to the build-up. SummerSlam usually delivers, and there's going to be some nice build-up in the next coming weeks. Raw's got to do a better job of putting on consistent shows. Stop wasting time with 15-minute segments and come up with a little bit more original content, and hopefully Paul Heyman's arrival and presence will make for better segments and some elevation of some guys that have been stuck in the mid-card.
I totally agree with everything you just said.
For the Jock, Adam Strozinski, I am the Doc, the bad guy, John Macaroon. See everybody next week. Hey, yo.